That surreal pressure made his body want to fall apart just from feeling it. But the goddess orders him to conquer it. Something shines in his heart, and she tells him to remember that he is also a king. A gaze like that should be conquered, and he should never be subjugated by that intimidation. The protagonist then bursts into a golden light and stares Manhwa down, who stays there in silence, until suddenly, he calls out to the boy, "Shutra Ignis." Everyone jumps, mouths wide open. This was the first time the Demon King had ever spoken directly to one of his children, and he says he's looking forward to seeing what the boy will conquer in the future. The nobles are trying to understand what's going on. His Majesty has never called a prince by name in an audience, so why is he speaking directly to the ninth and youngest, the one with no presence at all? The boy was the weakest, and had arrived at the castle not long ago, but he had already conquered a lot in a short time. On his first mission, one that was supposed to take 2 weeks, he finished everything in just 2 days. He found a dwarven portal that stayed hidden for 1,000 years, read a dead language that not even the realm's mages could decipher, rescued the 6th princess from enemy hands all by himself, and in the middle of a losing battle, he turned an entire war around in a way nobody could have imagined. The prince everyone treated like a ghost, delivered in days what his older siblings took years to achieve, and now, he just did what no child has ever done in the history of this castle. Face the Demon King's pressure head-on. That's why his name came out of his Majesty's mouth, and he says that he will guarantee to live up to Majesty's expectations. And also he has a challenge to survive, which is having an older half-sister named Felicia, who keeps blushing and throwing bombs the whole time. That girl is dangerous. Run, my innocent little boy. But all of this starts with a kid who is addicted to games. His name literally means protagonist in Korean. His parents gave him that name hoping he'd become the main character of the world, and he spent his whole life getting clowned for it. One day he walks into the game shop and the clerk already had a copy saved for him. Night Saga, the remake of the classic he had beaten over 10 times since he was a kid. A game about the endless war between humans and demons. He knew every character, every item, every map by heart. But this remake was the first one in full virtual reality. He got home, put on the headset, and promised himself he'd only play a quick 8 hours. The second he loads into the game, something's already wrong. The body isn't his and had no character selection, and a giant orc walks in yelling at him to get up, calling him Prince Shutra. He is shocked by how real everything feels. When he says that out loud, a huge orc gives him a weird look and asks what he means by real. He can't believe he's having such a smooth conversation with an NPC. The ads never mentioned anything this advanced. He asks the orc's name, and the answer is Karak. Then Karak calls him Prince Shutra and tells him to hurry. Jude instantly knows that name, Shutra Ignis, the Demon King's 9th son. He can't believe the game skipped character selection and forced him into this role. When he opens the status window, he sees he's level 1, 14 years old, and painfully weak, just 5 in every stat. Even normal NPCs start at 10. Then he checks his skills, conquest, and protagonist, setting adjustment. That second one really catches his attention. Jude wonders if it means exactly what it sounds like. Karak cuts him off, yelling for him to move. The protagonist says fine and steps outside, stunned. A full line of orcs is waiting. He asks why it feels like they're marching to war. Karak says there's no time to talk. Red Thunder orcs are causing trouble, and this will be Jude's first real battle. Totally confused, MC asks where the tutorial went. Karak explains the Red Thunder orc tribe has rebelled, and with the 7th prince and 8th princess, they're going to help put it down. Jude asks why they're bringing only 10 people to a war. Karak says he already told him yesterday this was supposed to be just a patrol. He questions that, and Karak starts wondering why he's acting so strange. Opening his minimap, the protagonist says he knew the game would have one, and he's glad it'll make travel easier. Then he spots a hidden route and wonders if it's tied to an event. He tells Karak their current path is too slow and says he knows a shortcut. They take the detour through the woods and climb a cliff. Drew is completely winded, but at the top he finds a hidden area sealed by 2 giant stone gates. Karak is shocked and asks how MC found this place. He even asks if he is a mage, but he says no. The others notice how exhausted he is. The protagonist admits his stamina is awful, but he still wants to try opening the door. As he steps forward, golden light wraps around him, and he freezes. Then a message appears. He leveled up. MC can't believe walking here gave him a level. Even weirder, every stat went up by 2. He mutters that this is ridiculously overpowered. Then stone starts crumbling. Karak asks if they're going in, and Jua says he has no idea what's inside, but with backup, they should manage. He tells himself a real protagonist doesn't die from one bad fall. He gets a chance. They head into the cave. Karak says it looks like a dwarf tunnel, but he argues dwarves shouldn't be here. They're supposed to live in the demon realm. Karak says not anymore. They did long ago. Druas asks if they all moved, but Karak only knows old tribal stories. Deeper in, they spot a pile of treasure mixed with weapons and gear. The orcs cheer and grab everything they can, saying the dwarves must have left behind amazing loot. The protagonist watches but stays put. He can't use any of it. The level requirements are too high and his stats are too low for even the basic gear. Still, he figures they should keep the items, and when he picks one up, he whispers, "Store." It vanishes into his inventory. Just like he thought. Touch it, say the word, and it's stored. Then he checks the minimap and sees a cluster of red dots at the edge, If those are enemies, they need to run. Before anyone can move, part of the wall explodes inward and blasts several orcs off their feet. Out of the dust comes a huge figure, a red thunder orc. He says they were expected and introduces himself as Kaichin, the tribe's commander. Then he orders his men to kill them all. The fight erupts and Jua's side starts dropping fast. A few fight back, but they're badly outmatched. As the battle drags on, the tide shifts just a little. Watching from the back, MC wonders if he should jump in, get a few kills, and earn XP. He sneaks behind a red thunder orc busy fighting and attacks with everything he has, but his blades snap on impact. Staring at the broken weapons, he realizes they were probably junk. The red orc immediately turns on him. Jua freaks out and runs, screaming, then trips over a rock and slams face first into the ground. A damage alert pops up, 14 HP gone. He still has 5 mana left, but the red orc is already coming in for the kill. Carrick gets there just in time and blocks the blow. He yells at him to move, but he is frozen, shaking all over. He keeps telling himself it's only a game, but the fear feels real. He doesn't want to die like this, so he decides he's done for today and opens the menu. Trying to get out, he says the realism is too much. Then he spots something strange on his status screen. His race is listed as Gondarvier. Worse, he has no usable skills, and there's no logout button. Panic sets in as he wonders if he's trapped. While he's searching for answers, Caitlin Moonlight locks eyes with him and starts chanting. Magic rains down and tears through Drew's body. The pain throws him into the cliff wall and his vision starts to fade. Gasping for air, he slips into darkness. Then he wakes in a different place, like a void inside his own mind. He wonders if this is the afterlife. Sure, Caitlin killed him, but a golden light appears ahead. A woman's voice echoes through the dark, telling him he is tied by fate to this world. She says to conquer and rule through complete submission. As she reaches out, Drew notices her 2 different colored eyes before the light swallows him whole. Back on the battlefield, the green orcs are still losing. Caitlin Moonlight moves in to support his side and mocks such a tiny force for daring to challenge his tribe. He decides to end it now and orders his troops to wipe them all out. Then Drew stands up, confused, wondering if he just awakened something. Caitlin spots him and demands to know how he's still alive. A notice appears in the protagonist's vision. Telekinesis level 1 acquired. He stares, wondering when he got that. Then another shock hits. His second class is now Knight of Conquest. Caitlin shouts for everyone to target the boy. Carrick understands at once. He roars that the prince must be protected no matter what. Drew stands there, eyes stuck on the status screen. This class, this job, it was never in the original game. Then he drives his blade into the ground, saying it feels natural, like he's always known how. Looking ahead, he declares that conquest is the power of kings. Then he calls out, under the king's banner, and golden light pours out around him. The glow wraps around the orc warriors, and the buff kicks in. They shout that power is flooding their bodies, and they rush the Red Thunder tribe like a wave. One orc drives his bare hand straight through an enemy's chest. They don't even need weapons anymore. Kaishin panics and demands to know how their strength jumped so fast. Then he follows the golden energy back to its source. Drew's furious. He fires off 4 attacks right at him. MC sees them coming, but Karak jumps in and knocks them all away with ease. Watching Karak fight gives Drew confidence. He tells Karak to keep pushing while the buff boosts every move. Kaichin, he realizes the battle has flipped, and begs them to stop, but he's already too late. Karak slams into him and knocks his head clean off. When the Red Thunder orcs see their leader's head hit the ground, they break and run. The green orcs chase after them, yelling that no one gets away. A system notice flashes before Drew. A general's feats go to his king. He jumps 3 levels at once, still trying to catch his breath. He stares in confusion, asking what just happened. From a distance, Karak looks at him with wide eyes, wondering where that power came from. Then he looks again, this time with real awe, unsure if the prince caused the miracle they all just saw. Later, back at camp, Drew frantically scrolls through his menu, repeating the same thing. There is no exit button. No matter how much he searches, it isn't there. He forces himself to calm down and think clearly. There are only 2 answers. First, he's still in virtual reality, and some outside bug might get fixed eventually. Second, and this is the wild one, this isn't a game anymore. Like a novel or manga, he may have crossed into a world based on the game he knew. Everything feels too vivid, even his body is uncensored down to the smallest detail. That only makes him suspect this world is real. For a moment, he wonders if dying is the only way out, but quickly drops that thought. Still, things could be worse. At least he's not an orc or ogre, and being a prince gives him a huge advantage. Karak steps in and asks if they can talk. With how permanent all this feels, Jarmu starts accepting the name everyone uses for him here, Shutra. Shutra asks what he wants, and Karak requests a duel. Since Shutra is both prince and commander, he says a warrior should know the strength of the one he follows. Shutra narrows his eyes, asking if that's the real reason. Karak hands him a practice sword and tells him not to worry, he'll go easy. Sharda snorts and says if they're doing this, they should do it properly. He attacks first, raising his sword and rushing in. Karak braces as Sharda's blade comes down, followed by a messy string of stabs that barely bother him. Karak jokes that it feels like getting tapped with an egg. Then one lazy swing sends Sharda flying back. Rubbing his head, Shudder grumbles that Carrick could have warned him before hitting that hard. As he gets up, a notice appears, Basic Swordsmanship Level 1 unlocked. He blinks, wondering when that happened, and then it hits him. It's like telekinesis. Maybe he learns skills by going through them firsthand, even when they're used on him. Carrick suggests ending the spar and getting food. Shutra refuses, resets his stance and charges again. This time his thrust is tighter and more focused. Carrick blocks it easily, but notices the change. He says Shutra's movements are clearly better now and wonders why he was so awkward before. His level hasn't changed, but his technique is improving fast. Carrick swings again, forcing Shutra to jump back. He seems to be having fun now. He asks if Shutra can handle him yet, then asks about his level. Carrick says the last time he checked, he was level 21. Shutra opens his status window and says he'll catch up soon. He's already level 7. He reminds himself that people in this world have levels, but most can't see them. They need special magic to measure them. He, on the other hand, can view his full stats and spend bonus points from leveling. A huge edge. Then he drives forward again, meeting Carrick in a fast exchange of blows. Each strike is cleaner than the last. That means he won't just grow stronger slowly, his growth can snowball far beyond everyone else. Then his mind shifts to the bigger future ahead. The story doesn't move in a straight line. Several huge events happen before the end, and the most important is a forced event called the Day of the Massacre. In Demon Realm history, it happens in year 517, when Zephyr, the Demon King's second son, kills all his brothers to claim power. That means every prince, including Shutra, is marked for death. Luckily, the current year is 512. He still has 5 years, but to live he has to stop that massacre. Or better yet, become stronger than Zephyr. Carrick calls out that he's been searching everywhere for him. Shutra asks what for, and Carrick reminds him about today's meeting. Shutra frowns, not sure what meeting he means, but Carrick says everyone is already waiting. Back at camp, Shutra ends up seated across from 2 people. He gives a nervous laugh and says they got there early. Sitting opposite him are his older siblings. His brother, the 7th prince, introduces himself as Chris and tells Shutra to relax. He says there's no need to be so stiff. Then his sister, the 8th princess Caitlin, says this is her first time meeting him face to face. Chris adds that he doesn't need honorifics, just call them brother and sister. Shutra agrees. In his head he places them as children of Queen Elaine, ruler of the lycanthropes. Even in the original game, the two were tough to fight. He also remembers something darker. 1 year before the Day of the Massacre, both Chris and Caitlin are killed by Zephyr and the other royal children because their bloodline threatened his rise. Caitlin also had a secret. She wasn't truly the Demon King's daughter, but an illegitimate child. Caitlin asks why Shutra went off plan. She only told him to scout, not fight, and he says he never expected the enemy to show up there. She steps closer and checks him over, asking if he's hurt. Be more careful, she says. He's still the weakest of the siblings. Shutra apologizes, then hesitates. Why are they being this nice to him? In the game, everything was fixed. Dialogue, rank, betrayal. Here people feel real, and that makes them harder to